When you think scary games, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Maybe Outlast, maybe Phasmophobia, maybe I don't really know much about scary games, but I'm assuming you're gonna think about a game that's marketed as a scary game. But what if I told you one of the scariest freaking games that I've ever played in my life is Subnautica? Subnautica is the pinnacle of atmospheric horror games, and nothing will change my mind. Absolutely nothing. I almost shit myself every time I play this thing. If you're not familiar with it, there's a good chance that you're gonna be like, Robokast, you're just a wimp. Why are you so lame, bro? That shit's not scary at all. And if you say that, you're probably right, but you're also wrong. You see, you don't have to have weird, creepy creatures jumping out at you with scary horror movie noises in order to have a scary game. In fact, this style of atmospheric game is often scarier than the jump scare horror games like Phasmophobia. The amount of build-up and suspense that's caused while you're just playing a game that's not even supposed to be scary really keeps you on edge, and then whenever you see the Reaper Leviathan, you just want to move out of your house and cuddle up into a cardboard box behind a Wawa. But it doesn't matter. I'm a brave man. My mom said I could do anything that I put my mind to, and I just so decided that today I'm gonna put my mind to playing through some Subnautica. So you're gonna be witnessing exactly that in today's video, where I replay Subnautica and share with you the full Subnautica experience. So one thing about me is that when I'm not facing my fear and playing Subnautica, you can often find me chefing it up in the kitchen. That's why I'm happy to be able to introduce the sponsor of today's video, Kamakoto. Kamakoto is a company that makes amazing Japanese steel kitchen knives using traditional techniques that originated in Japan over 800 years ago. Each knife or set comes in a beautiful heavy-duty ash wood box, and they would make a great addition to your kitchen, or it would be an outstanding Christmas gift for a family member who likes to cook. There are lots of different types of knives depending on what you're looking for, and each and every one of them are extremely sharp and durable, and they just feel good to use when chopping or cutting things. I was absolutely blown away when I used these for the first time, and the beautiful finish, sharp edges, and extremely high quality craftsmanship really do make these the best knives I've ever used. If you want to up your knife game or buy a great gift for a family member, check out Kamakoto using my link in the description. Plus, if you use code ROBOCAST, you save an extra $50 on top of their current Black Friday sale offers. Thanks again to Kamakoto for sponsoring today's video. So this story starts with me just vibing and chilling on my spaceship, chilling out, listening to some music, and then the sky darkens, my life flashes, the plane that I was supposed to be on crashes and burns to ashes. That's when I wake up, but I'm on a damn ocean planet. I wake up and I get out of my life pod just to see that I'm entirely surrounded by the ocean. God damn it, I landed in Miami in the year 2200. How unfortunate. So I look around and get a feel for my surroundings before I jump in and go for a cozy little swim. And then I get a beautiful announcement telling me that there is 0 human life remaining. Welp, looks like I'm here alone, time to make a life and try to find a career. So I swim around and grab some scrap metal as basic materials, catch a couple fish for food and water because I'm gonna need them later, and break some of these little rocks that have resources in them. Once I get my basic needs met and get a few resources, I decide to venture a little further away just to see what this area is like. I start out in a shallow reef area that looks pretty safe for the most part, just like anywhere you would scuba dive if you were in any country that had a place to scuba dive, I guess. But the second that you venture out of this biome, things definitely take a turn for the worse, and it's a lot spookier, darker, and not as appealing to be in. So, just like any responsible explorer, I spend the next 30 minutes or so kind of just staying in this biome and collecting all of the materials that I need to build a repair thingy to repair my life pod. You see, it obviously got pretty damaged when I was crash landed, so I need to repair it where I can access the radio and all of its other features. During the day, I do a lot of collecting, and then the second that it turns nighttime, I get way too scared because it is spooky as hell in this game in nighttime, and I'm not very prepared yet, so instead I just do some exercises in my life pod to make sure that I maintain my muscle mass. So I spend the next few days collecting resources and slowly venturing further and further away to get better materials. I go into the kelp biomes to collect some kelp, I go into the caves to try to find sulfur, and then I get attacked by these annoying kamikaze fish that try to blow up on you. Honestly, one of the most annoying mobs in any game I've ever seen ever, at least early game, but luckily they do give me a decent amount of sulfur, which is what I need to use to work on building my repair tool. After a small amount of grinding, I repair all of my electronics in my thing, and it's time to listen to the radio beacon to see what the hell is going on. Will there be any other survivors? Am I the only one on this planet? Is there someone I can go and get help from? We're gonna have to find out.
The rescue operation will be dispatched to your location in 9 hours.
I might as well get more comfortable and make myself at home on this planet because it sounds like I'm gonna be here for quite a while. And in order to do that, I'm going to now need to get a habitat builder. However, it's a little bit of a more complex recipe, so I'm gonna have to follow some steps in order to get strong enough to get the materials needed to build a habitat. I know, it's a constant uphill battle. So I go back into the wilderness once again to collect more materials and venture further and further out of my comfort zone in order to get everything that I need. Because of the wreck of the ship, there's a lot of debris everywhere, and if I go around and scan the debris with my scanner, I'm able to learn new blueprints and unlock new things. For now, because I don't like swimming, the biggest thing that I'm going to try to unlock is the Sea Glide, which is kind of like a little motorized underwater scooter that you could use to traverse the area a lot faster. And ultimately, run away from things if you need to, which means I'm going to feel a lot safer and have much bigger balls while I'm exploring. So I do exactly that, and then conveniently enough, I get a distress signal on my radio that leads me to where another life pod crashed. If I go there, I could probably find some resources and learn more about what exactly happened and why our ship's here in the first place. As I get closer and closer to this life pod, I notice that things start to get pretty freaking spooky. It's quiet, dark, a little eerie, and there's noises everywhere. I hear the roars coming from the depths of the ocean, and I have no idea what they could possibly be. I mean, there are some big creatures in this game, and the darker and scarier it gets, the more afraid I become of them. But it's okay, I'm gonna have to power through it because in order to progress, I need to go over to this life pod. Eventually, I make it to the life pod, and things do not look too good. It appears as if something ripped through the hole and probably killed everybody who's inside. Nice, what a fun place to visit. I grab a data box that gives me a recipe for a compass, and then I head back to my life pod to get out of this sketchy ass area and try to regroup and think about what I need to do next. As I get back, I get another radio message and...
This is Ozzy from the cafeteria. What the hell, guys? They didn't warn us this might happen. Our pod was almost crushed by this Seamoth Bay on the way down. Now we're hanging on the edge of a cave system, and this grim-looking snake thing's trying to eat through the hull.
Yeah, no thanks, buddy. I'll let you keep the grim-looking snake thing. I don't really need that in my life right now, so I think I'm just gonna chill here and start a family and, like I said, get a career. So at this point, I decide to leave the other life pod guy with his fate in his own hands because I don't want to get eaten by a giant underwater snake, and I decide to set up somewhere a little more permanent to live. The base building in this game is honestly pretty fun, and I feel like it's a very fitting style for how the game works. Like, they could have allowed, fully customizable underwater voxel-based whatever, but they didn't because it's a lot more realistic to have a research station type base in an underwater planet. It just makes more sense. So I mess around for a little bit and build a tiny little starter base just to have somewhere a little safer than the life pod and with a little bit more space. In retrospect, it probably would have made more sense to build my base a little further away from the life pod that I started at because it doesn't really solve many problems when I'm gonna have to venture further away later on, but it's a start, and plus I'm a little too scared to go too far, so we'll just stick with this for now. At this point, I just spend the next, 30 or 45 minutes going through the constant loop of collecting resources and expanding my base and just getting more comfortable. But as you need to progress further and further in this game, you kinda end up getting locked behind the depth requirement. Because of your oxygen and what vehicles you have and stuff, you can only go a certain depth, realistically. So at this point, it was time for me to find the blueprints to a bigger vehicle. The next vehicle is called the Seamoth, and it's kind of like a mini one-person submarine. So I explore for a little bit, gather all the pieces that I need to scan, and eventually craft one. Now you see, this really increases my exploration options, because one, I can go a lot faster, I can go a lot deeper, I feel a little bit safer, and it has a light on it, so at nighttime, it won't be as scary. Oh yeah, bro, this makes it so much less scary. I feel basically like I'm invincible in this thing. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, that music's a little spooky, not gonna lie, but I'm not too worried. What was that? Interesting. I don't see anything, but oh my god, Jesus Christ! Yeah. Okay, maybe my confidence was a facade. That was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life, and honestly, the pausing the game was just a reflex. Will I ever resume the game, though? That's the real question. I'm gonna go with no. Okay, buddy, it's okay. It's okay. I will leave you alone, and I will just go back to my life pod, and I will just die in there alone of starvation. It's okay. You don't have to bother me, I promise you. Okay, goodbye. I'm going this way. That, my friends, was a Reaper Leviathan. One of, not even all of, one of the giant creatures who can murder you in this game. And not even the biggest one either. Those things are spooky. You hear their terrible, chilling call throughout the entire world as you're exploring, and then out of nowhere, they jump out at you and almost destroy your entire progress so far. So I've decided that we're gonna kind of avoid the region directly behind the wreck, because doesn't seem like a good place to go right now. Maybe later, if I could get like a rocket launcher, then I'll go back. With my ego and my confidence crushed, I now return once again to my base to continue work on gathering resources and getting better gear. I explore a couple different biomes, but again, I'm a little too scared to go too far, and I give a few more visits to the other crashed life pods to try to learn more about what happened with this wreck. Eventually, one of these signals leads me to dry land, where apparently some of the surviving crew tried to reunite and figure out a plan. Now this is where the game really starts to get complicated, because you go from thinking that you're in an infinitely generated ocean planet to one where there's potential for some form of land. So I decide to explore this island for a bit to see what secrets it may uncover. I wander around and find some research stations that allow me to scan things, and I learn how to craft quite a few different items. And I also learn a bit about the lore of the people who were living on this island doing research. Apparently it didn't work out too well for them because, well, they're dead. But it looked like they had the start of something great, and I really do appreciate their generous donation to my blueprint collection. At this point, I wander around and I find a cave with these strange alien-like structures in them. It doesn't seem like there's any way to get into it, and I don't really know what I can do, but it definitely piqued my interest and made me realize that there's a lot more to this story than you may originally think. Keep in mind, it's been a while since I've played this, and honestly, I didn't really pay attention to a lot of the story the first time, so a lot of this is still very intriguing and interesting to me. I will have to put this down in my journal and come back to it at another point. So with the newfound knowledge of all of the things that I'm able to craft and the newfound knowledge of land, I leave the island and try to figure out what exactly this means. Does this mean that there's a way to make a sustainable life on this planet? Does it increase my chances of getting off? I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to see. But realistically, I need more technology. I feel like I've made some progress, but my little tiny submarine can't even go that deep, and I just feel like I need to learn more. It's time to become a wreck diver. So I explore all of the different biomes and regions in order to find crashed pieces of the Aurora and try to scavenge some more blueprints. This part of the game is quite enjoyable because it's a good way to progress, but at the same time, it does get a little annoying because it's the only way to progress. Plus, you hear shit like this, and it makes you really question what you're doing with your life and why you aren't just staying on that island. The noises and the music in this game are freaking terrifying, bro, and like even though you could have an idea of what type of creatures there are, it just gets worse and worse. The one problem that I had, however, is that in order to dive a lot of these wrecks, I needed a way to cut open the locked doors, meaning I needed a laser cutter. And in order to get a laser cutter, I need diamonds, which are located in a pretty deep region where you have to break shale rocks in order to find them. I remember from my previous playthrough that the weird clouded, rainy looking thing on the map is where you need to go, so I started heading over that way. Mr. Stark, I don't feel too good, because I'm a little on edge. Oh yeah, they're playing choir music. It's over for me. I'm basically dead at this point. My life is now gone. Anytime you're in a deep, dark place underwater and you start hearing choir music, you might as well just give up on life. Eventually though, I find what I'm looking for. But I feel like there's something else around. I feel like something's watching me. It's just too dark and too quiet, and I know in these depths of water, there's definitely something here. Okay, time to go. I will leave you alone in your humble abode, and I will never come back. Goodbye. I'm now going to fly this submarine into outer space, and I'm leaving this planet once and for all. Just kidding, I make an even dumber decision and decide to go into the cave system underneath this giant island. Yes, the cave system, where the Reaper Leviathan that I just saw, probably lives. And if you thought the sounds in the deep, dark ocean are scary, the sounds in here were the sounds of the gates of hell. Maybe I don't go in here. Maybe I save that for later because I already need to change my pants after the 2 Reaper Leviathan encounters. But yeah, this does not sound like a good place to be. However, I do find this weird purple tablet thing on the ground, and later, once I decide to go to the surface of this giant rock, I find that there's a strange alien temple. So, take the strange tablet, put it in the little strange place in the strange temple, bada bam bada boom, now the door's open. And this is where the story truly begins. I go inside and download the data and learn that this thing is actually a giant weapon. The same weapon that knocked down my ship. So whatever this is didn't want me here, and unfortunately I can't turn it off because I am now infected. The planet is under quarantine, and the only way to keep people from coming on it is this giant activated doomsday device that can only be disactivated when the quarantine is gone. So I have to do more research, go deeper and deeper into this strange environment, and figure out how to cure the disease. And once I do that, I assume I can turn off this weapon and leave the planet. That's what we're talking about.
Aurora, we're approaching the planet now. We have a landing site for you that's... well, it's better than the alternatives.
Oh, never mind, change of plans. Looks like I'm actually about to get picked up because some other ship, I guess, is gonna figure out how to outsmart this giant weapon and save us. What a smart guy. Maybe he has some crazy shield on his ship or some way to avoid the weapon, or maybe he could disable it with like a EMP or something. This is gonna be great. We can finally get off the planet and not have to deal with these terrible Reaper Leviathans ever again. So I might as well grab everything I can before I leave, just where I have some mementos to take home to tell my wife about this crazy experience. So I go over to the Aurora and do my best to kill these little crab things and investigate what I could take with me. I find food, I find water, I find another fire extinguisher, and I find the one thing that I've been looking for. This beautiful cat poster that I could take with me. You know, when the ship went down, I was quite upset. You know, I lost my favorite cat poster. But luckily, it survived and I can now take it on the Sunbeam, which is almost here, and hang it on my wall back home as a reminder of this great experience. Alright, sick, so I found everything I need, and now I'm gonna head over to where the Sunbeam is gonna pick me up, and I could get off this amazing planet. You know, I'm going a little crazy. I've been alone for quite a while, and underwater really does, you know, wreak some havoc on your mental health, so this is gonna be a great escape. Okay, that doesn't look too good. Oh, okay, it's now rotating like a giant cannon. That noise doesn't sound too good either, but I trust the Sunbeam. I assume they know what they're doing. All right, my savior has arrived. Guys. Shit. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they survived. Where'd the ship go? That's unfortunate. I guess I'm just gonna go back to the ocean. Okay, well, later guys. And that, my friends, is the first part of the Subnautica experience. So I made a video a little while ago talking about the Long Dark experience, where I did the same type of thing where I went through, narrated over my experience, stuff like that. I don't really want to post a series on this channel because it gets a bit messy and hard to keep up with everything. However though, I would not be opposed to starting another channel to continue these experience series somewhere else. So would you like me to continue the Long Dark and or the Subnautica experience on another channel, or would you rather me just stick with the one-off videos? Let me know in the comments. Do you enjoy Subnautica? Let me know in the comments about that as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys next time, and peace.